Back on the SportsMax Zone, fans have been reacting to Wednesday's discussion on the SportsMax Zone about the greatest cricket test series of all time. The discussion came on the heels of India's stunning 2-1 series win over Australia. Now, fans flocked to our YouTube page to comment on a segment starring Fazir Mohammed and Michael Holding. Let's look at some of the comments that we got on our YouTube page following that riveting segment on Wednesday. Manish Thakur says that this Australia versus India is the best series of all time. 36 sold out, captain and team's best batsman gone home, racial abuse, team batting fast bowler, spinner and all-rounder injured, 5 debutants, batted 130 overs to draw the test, chased 320 plus on the last day of the win for the series. And Vibha Salimat says, Michael Holding never appreciates Indian players. He always praises Australian and English players. He still lives in the 80s. Holding appreciates Australians? I doubt that really. Doreen Babu says Fazir Mohammed always makes compelling arguments. Love to hear him more. India rocks. It is by far the greatest underdog success story. As far as greatest, the test series quality was not that great. Bobby Thomas says greatest test series, certainly above 2005. That was the Ashes series. Jumpy 124, beautiful informative show. Summit Tandon says people are forgetting the 2001 test series between India and Australia. Anand Kashyap says, so I think the contention is whether it is the greatest test series. I think even some Indians may agree that this was not the greatest test series ever. What the greatest series is will always remain a debate, but this is the greatest series victory ever. I don't think any team in history can lay claim to that. Oh, several of the YouTube comments on the segment that we had on Wednesday evening on the SportsMax Zone. And here's a voice note coming out of the segment as well.
Yes, really recently concluded series, India versus Australia. That is not the greatest test series of all time. Very good test series. And I think I am able to say that, seeing that I watch every ball. It was a lot one-sided because really and truly, barring Australia bowlers and Labuschagne and Smith, it was just all India. So, very good triumph for Team India, but not the greatest test series.
You know, I feel like people gravitate towards that India team only because the odds were not in their favor, you know. I think it's the storyline behind it, which is why the first YouTube comment that we got, he listed a lot of things about the racial abuse and stuff. Let's just take that away and look at the cricket. Then I'm not sure if we would be having that discussion, right?
Well, the contest was riveting, it was enthralling, it was gripping, it was suspense-filled. Because in pretty much all of the test matches, 2 hours before the matches ended, you pretty much didn't know what the result would have been.
It seemed impossible that India.
The contest was enthralling. But I think what happened with the series, and George would agree with this, and you would as well, is that it reminded us that test cricket can be gripping and test cricket can be captivating, because it has lost a lot of luster over the last decade or so, people losing interest in test cricket. So this was a reminder of how great test cricket can be. But I rather agree with the view that this was not the greatest test series of all time, although it was tremendous.
I think I lean towards this one only because I felt it reminded me of the West Indies team. It came at the time when West Indies was going in as well as underdogs, and you know, we had so much issues with our team in the sense that, you know, many of our senior players didn't go. And when India did what they did, I just got a glimmer of hope within me that maybe we could have done the same. And I feel like that's why this one resonates with me a lot. But I still wouldn't class it as the greatest.
Beats me how people can arrive at the verdict that this is the greatest test series of all time. And, you know, commenting on it right now, following the views expressed by those who watched the segment on YouTube, a lot of people seem to be upset with the line I was pushing yesterday, that you have to take into consideration that the best players weren't on show throughout the series, and that has to account for a large part of the luster that you'll add to series between teams. And it's a valid point. Because I'm saying all of the guts showed by the Indian players on show, the individuals, if they had not shown that, we would have criticized them for not showing it, because it's what you'd expect test players to do. So you'll say, all right, so some first choice players didn't even get on the plane to go to Australia. Kohli is gone, but you are there. You have the bat in hand. You have the ball in hand. So you should stand up and be counted and give your team the effort that is needed. The men did that. So they did what you would expect of good cricketers. Remember, these players are notwithstanding the narrative that was being pushed by some people as if the Indians who finished the series were suddenly spirited on a plane from India and flown over to Australia at short notice, having never played cricket before or played amateur cricket, and just ushered into the test arena, and then they gave us these performances. India has the deepest pool of every cricketing nation. All right, every test cricketing nation, all the test cricketing nations combined, don't have a quarter the size of the pool that the Indians have.
That is true.
So they have the quality there. So I'm saying with these players doing what you'd expect test players to do, the same things we praised the Indians for doing, it's the same thing series after series we criticize the West Indians for not showing. So I'm saying the Indians did as you would expect. They played very well. Mariah made a very good point. They were without their leader, so maybe it is that people are saying, oh, they did all that without their leader. Lance makes a very good point by saying we are so starved of good, tough test cricket that we see some and we get all excited.
Yeah.
Come on, people. It was a tremendous series. Best of all time.
Yeah.
Test cricket started in 2 years ago? Hell no.
But it certainly was one of the best series that I've followed. I would say that. I definitely would say it was not the best, but it was so gripping. And George, I understand the point you made, which has to be emphasized, that the pool and the depth of Indian cricket at the moment cannot be understated, because there are some players who proved influential in this series win for India who had single-digit caps in test cricket.
Exactly.
So to have the kind of impact against a strong Australian team playing at home is worthy of high praise for the performances of the India players. But I take it, certainly the 60-61 Australia-West Indies series for me ranks as the best based on what I have followed in international cricket. But I wasn't born then. I read about it, I saw the highlights and so on.
Yeah.
But as I follow a series in my 37 years of being a sports commentator, this is one of the most gripping series that I can remember. But I would hasten to add that it certainly wouldn't rank as the greatest test series of all time.
And I feel like all three of us agree when we talk about the system in place in India, because that was my takeaway from it. When I ripped this India series apart, and of course I looked at what happened to the West Indies, it pointed in the direction of India having this system in place to ensure that, you know what, if there are no more Kohlis and, you know, no more Rohit Sharma and whatnot, that system that is in place will ensure that they will always be a powerhouse in cricket. For example, the IPL, that just breeds more cricketers into the system, and I feel like, you know, if other countries were to follow them, we'd have a lot of powerhouses.
You know, so I'll end this by saying, it's like a Lothario who is used to, has all his life been around beautiful women, and all of a sudden he goes on an island for 7-10 months, and the first woman he sees, oh my goodness, this is the most beautiful lady I've seen in my life. Come on, people. It was a tremendous cricket series, fought in the way that you want test cricket to be played. Very brave performances, heroic, gutsy, quality, the best of all time.
Well, we have a quick opportunity to look at India again in international cricket, because amidst the exciting Abu Dhabi T10, which started on SportsMax on Thursday morning, get ready for some exciting action between India and England in their series of matches starting on the 4th of February and ending on the 28th of March.